아예 못하는 거거든요.
더군다나 김도욱이요. 판단, 운영,
네.
사이세 모두 다 조성재에게 밀리지 않으면서
그렇지.
해명으로 시작해서 해명으로 끝났어요.
와.
바퀴에 질렸습니다. 끝까지 다한번더 섰던 우수동이었던 야인. 이재 선수가 그 이상의 전쟁의 스윙 능력과
와.
보급의 힘을 보여줬습니다.
물량 차원의 힘, 그 힘으로 이재동 선수 승리 따내고 4강 진출.
소년때 이루지 못했던 그 꿈을 청년에서 이루는
역사를 새로 쓰는 위대한 우승자가 나왔습니다.
이 전무후무한 기록이 어디까지 이어지게 될지 기대가 됩니다.
(2023) GSL Semifinals. Match 1.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the semifinals and finals of the GSL CODES. It's good to be here, man.
It's good to be here, the Vita 500 Coliseum.
Yes.
We got an audience.
I'm getting tingles just seeing, our huge studio fill up. We're here now with a live audience. This is going to be an incredible day. Kind of a weird Final Four, if we're going to be honest. It's 4 Terrans. We haven't had that in 12 years.
Yeah, more than a decade, but these 4 Terrans, I feel like they deserve to be here. I mean, they just absolutely mopped the floor of the competition so far in GSL, and an era where, Terran seems like it's really finding its place in the meta for now. We'll see how those races, Terrans and Protosses and Zergs make adjustments over the coming seasons, but for now, it's feeling like it's the age of Terran, man.
This happens sometimes. We had this, it was in a KSL that was like maybe 5 years ago. We had 4 Protosses, that StarCraft 1 tournament that's since then been disbanded, but that's basically the last time we had anything like this in Korea. These moments are really fun because you get to do a real deep dive into the mirror matchup, really find out who's best in it, and also get to see what the 4 top players in the world do to approach it and how they're going to handle it differently.
Yeah, especially for Terran, because Korea, while the foreign scene has Protosses that have excelled, it has Zergs that have excelled, foreign Terrans never really caught up with the Korean Terrans, in my opinion. It's always been Maru on the top, and then you got players like Bunny, like Cure, like ByuN, who are just rock solid. I mean, TY for a very long period of time, innovation at the top of his game. Korean Terrans are in a class of their own, and so to have 4 Korean Terrans here in the semifinals, on into the finals, we're going to have 3 TVT series. I think this is going to answer any questions anybody has about the TVT matchup.
Yeah, and it's also, just historically in GSL, very unusual to have a situation like this. Normally, we do have Zergs winning a little bit more than the other races, so this is kind of a welcome, fun, different change here. If you want to support the GSL, you can go to the Patreon. You can see the information there, patreon.com/GSL. The benefits for that Patreon do get paid out on Monday. And I don't know where the number is. I think we might have a graphic for where the number is yet. But if we go over the 30K amount, which is for the prize pool, all this money goes to the prize pool. That will roll over for Season 2, which is not that far away.
Yeah, we're already up to $20,000 just about. As a lot of community support coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, the monthly support, I feel like even seeing $19,000 right here doesn't really tell the story with how much money has been pledged by all the supporters here at the GSL. It's really good to see.
This is the kind of the nature of where StarCraft's at, without big backing from the publisher, and it's really been up to the community to kind of take the helm there. So your report is appreciated, guys. And again, all that money does go to the prize pool, possibly just the big Maru fund. We might end up calling it, depending on how many more GSLs he wins this year. Here's our bracket. It's going to be Cure versus ByuN and Bunny versus Maru. I will say I think all 4 of these players really do deserve to be here. I'm shocked that we didn't have Dark. I'm shocked that we didn't have Hero. I'm shocked that Classic didn't make it as well. But when you go back and look at the games, they really did get outplayed. We have moments in the meta where it seems like one race really bubbles up to the top, and in this case, all 4 players are Terran here. So it's going to be an interesting series to do. Again, it should be a pretty long and dramatic day as well. We're kind of following part of the old GSL Code S format, a little bit more sped up, but the final day we wanted to really get a big bang out of actually having a studio audience. So we're going to have the Final 4 here and, of course, the finals right after that.
Yeah, a little reminiscent of super tournaments of the past, having, the semifinals and the finals both offline, same day. And it should be good. I love what you said about this being, going to be a long day, because I don't think we're going to get any 3-0s. I would be really surprised. I mean, it's always possible that someone just has their off day, especially going from an online format to an offline format.
Yeah, I think that this should be pretty dramatic. I don't think anybody's the clear favorite coming into this. Normally, I would say Maru. Like before the season started, I was thinking basically 2 players will take this. It'll either be Maru or it's going to be Dark. But honestly, the way that Cure and Bunny and ByuN have all played, they look to be in extremely good form. They do have different takes on the matchup in general. And so it's going to be a very fun deep dive on TVT in general.
I feel like everybody's got their own little twist of flavor here on the TVT matchup. And one interesting thing, too, about this, we were talking about it before we started the show today, is these are the 4 best Terran players in Korea that are all competing here. The region that has the best Terran players in the world.
Yeah.
Who are they practicing with for these semifinals?
It's a good question, right? Because, normally, like let's say we have, a top foreign Terran versus a top Korean Terran in the finals. Well, we know that the Korean Terran is going to train with the rest of the Terrans, but I don't even know for like the 5th and 6th best Terrans in Korea or even in the world if you can emulate the style of play of the Terrans that we have here.
Yeah.
Today.
I mean, you know that Rung is playing games with these guys. He's very good. Innovation, I'm sure, is also playing TVTs with them, but he's just back from military service. It's still probably taking him a little while to ramp up. Then you have Gumiho, who also had a shot of making it here to the top 4, but didn't quite make the cut. But he has a unique style.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of the strength for Gumiho just kind of falls back on him being able to play his own he plays by the beat of his own drum.
Right.
Right? And I feel like if you ask him to emulate ByuN's style or Maru's style or just some kind of cookie-cutter Terran style, it doesn't really play to his strengths, and it's maybe not the best practice. So I'm curious to see what plans people have in these series and how they've prepared coming into not only the semifinals but the finals, because you play a Terran, a TVT here in the semis. You also might want to have some builds in your back pocket for that best-of-7 finals as well.
And on top of all that, there's been a lot of tape out there of TVT with all the players that have already played in this. We had a very Terran-heavy tournament to start this off. Mm-hmm. We thought maybe that we would, kind of the what do they call that? Like the golden ratio. Golden ratio would eventually come into play here, and we would end up with maybe like 2 Terrans and then a Protoss and a Zerg. But it stayed very Terran-heavy, which means we have a lot of TVTs from all these players. They can all go back and study that. You're completely right, though. At the same time, you're going to go into the round of 4 trying to do whatever it takes to win there, but you're going to be revealing a lot of your Terran builds. So pocketing some pretty crazy builds is going to be essential as well. This could not be more of an interesting situation. And to top all that off, Maru could win another GSL. That could happen here tonight. That would be a historic moment. He already won 5 GSLs before. He might go up to the 6th, and that would be wild.
I mean, it took him a long time to get G5L. It took him years to finally get that 5th championship, and he even lost, I think, a TVT against TY, if I'm not mistaken, a number of years ago, trying to earn that one. And here's his chance to go from G5L to, 6SL or G6L, whatever
so
we're
then what will we do?
It.
GS7? If he wins after that? We could do 8SL. It wouldn't really look like a G.
Yeah, I think we're
there is a
out.
universe where that happens, because we've got 3 seasons this year of GSL for the year 2023. It's possible that he just keeps winning. That would be another major plot twist here. But it's undeniable that if you look at Maru, and again, I don't think this is going to be an easy Final 4. In fact, I think we could have some crazy upsets. We've already had a lot of upsets in the season. But he is by far the most accomplished GSL player and player in general out of the 4 Terrans.
And historically also the best TVT player in the world, although I feel like that lead that Maru has held on to for a long time is starting to shrink a little bit as the meta has shifted away from, this ultra late game, being able to get a lot of Ravens up and just kind of control the game. It's a little more fast-paced now. It seems like a lot of these games that we casted earlier in the season, the games are often decided not by some big strategic play, but instead tactics.
Yep.
In terms of positioning outside of a natural expansion or going for the right kind of drops. ByuN, especially not only in TVT, but also in TVZ, showcased this a lot so far in this CODES, just being able to pull wins out of thin air, it felt like, with some supreme tactical play and positioning.
And we should also mention that just coming off the back of IEM and Katowice, Maru did flounder in kind of a shocking result, losing the finals to Oliveira. So it doesn't seem like TVT is necessarily a very easy matchup for him to just maneuver through. Like we've seen Maru in so many of these TVZs where it seems like he's the guy that can always make Zerg look like maybe they are weak versus Terran. And then, of course, we have the fact that Kira and Bunny are here, who have always been playing second fiddle to the other Terran giants. They might be, in fact, in the best form yet. Taking a quick look at Kira here, this guy looked so scary on his way up here. He's improved massively. He's always been top tier, but I really do feel like when we casted his games this year, he looked better than any version of Kira I've seen in previous years.
And I actually didn't realize his 2023 win rate versus Terran was this good. 51 wins, 17 losses, a 75% win rate. I mean, Kira's somebody that we've been talking about for a long time as being one of these, top Terrans that doesn't perhaps get the recognition that they deserve here in Korea because they're overshadowed by players like Maru. And his TVP for a long time has been among the best in the world, but now TVT excelling. And I mean, ByuN's right up there with him, 50 and 17, another 75% win rate. It could not be more evenly matched.
And let's remember that ByuN, this guy was a former world champion.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. It was over 6 years ago.
Half of StarCraft 2 ago.
Half of StarCraft 2 ago, he was on top of the world. He also managed to win a GSL against, of all people, SOS, one of the most memorable GSLs in history. And now he's back. He's in good form. He's looking surprisingly strong. And, I'll be honest with you, man. In my head, I had kind of already moved on from ByuN a little bit compared to some of these other guys. I thought, okay, he's going to be around. A little bit like a DRG, like looking good, but probably not going to win. But he could very well take this here today.
Yeah, first Terran champion of Legacy of the Void as well. That's a little bit of a throwback. That was around the time that he was winning that world championship a long time ago. And it should be a close match. I feel like Kira versus ByuN, I could really see this one going either way. I think it's probably going to be the most 50-50 matchup that we get tonight. Because as good as Bunny is in the second semifinals, I do think Maru has an edge. But really, I just don't know who to favor here between these two Terrans.
It does seem to me like Kira has exhibited a little bit more restraint than ByuN. But the thing about ByuN is that that's kind of what makes him scary, is he's really much more willing to engage in moments that could be dangerous, to whether it's impulsive or he's intuiting really the perfect play. He's going to be moving out and attacking very fast. I think Kira might have slightly stronger late game. But hey, man, I'm open to anything. The first two matches here for the semifinals are best of fives. We're going to get this started here on Dragon Scales. Kira versus ByuN, the winner of this going on into the finals of the first season of GSL CODES 2023. Let's do this, guys. The final day of season 1 of the GSL CODES starts now.
I love this, man. The sound effects are on point.
Yeah.
For the final. We got a taste of this in rehearsal, but I didn't realize it was quite this good.
They've picked out lots of Terran sound effects for today.
Club NV, Cure.
Let's find out which Terran player is going to burn it down tasteless.
Yeah.
Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
So immediately on the map, we have an SCV out here. And that's ByuN. Okay, I was like, we don't have the names at the bottom of the screen yet here. ByuN is making one barracks in the middle of the map. He's made a second barracks in his main. He's getting gas. This does remind me a little bit of some of the ideas he toyed with earlier on in this GSL, only not in this matchup. He was doing this a lot versus Zerg, doing Reapers very early and aggressively. The fact that there's a barracks hidden in the middle of the map means that the second Reaper is going to get there at an unusual time. That being said, he didn't make the second barracks in the middle of the map, so he's not fully committed to this rush.
So good to have fans back here at the GSL.
Yes.
A lot of support for ByuN in the crowd. I'm sure that'll continue to increase as more and more fans file in.
You know, he's always been one of the big fan favorites.
Oh, it's very easy to see why. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of personality, and you can see it in his gameplay, too. He's just almost a loose cannon the way that he does it. And we're actually getting a proxy depot, too.
Now, why would he make a depot? I guess just because the SCV's idle, yeah, you might as well make, but you know, that is kind of a weird thing to put in the middle of the map.
I feel like
so this is a very specific build, in that he needs to have as many minerals as possible mined in his main. He doesn't want to even waste one SCV making a depot in his main. Is he going to make anything else here? Could he make a factory even?
Make a factory here, maybe.
Dude, he's making a factory.
He's getting proxied here as well.
Build?
All right, 2 Reapers already here in the main base. Now, Bunny Cure, excuse me, did go for the reactor, so his Reaper's gonna be a little bit late here to pop. 1 SCV already going down. Grenades popping. Hellion is in production.
There's 2 more Reapers about to come out. But obviously more Reapers are going to continue to reinforce. He's going to be getting Reapers in pairs continuously. The factory's almost done. He should have always 2 to 1 more Reaper. ByuN should, I'm trying to say. And he's going to come in again. Now, if he can isolate any of these units and pick them off.
Great nades there.
On either side, if you get a Reaper kill, you can start to snowball the fight. Obviously, the Reapers are going to heal up, so you want to back out, buy a little bit of time. But there's also, I'm sorry, is there Starport also being made in the middle of the map?
As well, so ByuN just going totally all in with this thing right now. And Cure, he doesn't have any idea exactly what's going on. He knows that a barracks is proxy. Now he's going to know the factory and Starport are getting proxied here as well. It feels like Cure might just have a little bit too much.
You know, the danger when you do a build like what ByuN's doing is if you start to lose the fight, all your infrastructure's out here. But in this case, ByuN doesn't lose that fight.
At the beginning there, I was liking that for Cure, but ByuN actually able to turn it around. Those 2 Reapers able to shoo away the Hellion.
I had the same thoughts. When I saw what was happening, I thought, oh, well, I guess Cure's going to just push this away. But ByuN, with really good control, does fend it off. He's still secured that position. And that means that he can continue to mount pressure from where he is now. There are no stray units of Cure that can try to counterattack or even scout on the map. Nobody's expanded yet. Nobody can expand yet. But ByuN is eager to try to end this game right away.
Yeah, ByuN pushing up the ramp, focusing down these Reapers, gets both of them now. Is going to be able to get the Hellion too, is not able to make it all the way to the ramp. So ByuN getting a little bit of a snowball effect here now that he has...
You know, I actually forget Medivacs can heal Reapers. You know, we don't really get to cast this very often, but yeah. Technically, you can have a Medivac that's going to give more of a sustainability to a Reaper to fight.
So funny. Actually, nothing can shoot the Viking.
And the Reaper can't lay on its back to shoot up, so the Medivac has got to be cautious, especially with the Viking out.
The Viking will pop now for ByuN. ByuN is going for the low ground expansion back at home. What a crazy start here to the semifinals today. Game 1. And Cure, he still knows that the pressure is on, and he doesn't feel comfortable enough to go for an expansion. So he's just, right now, pumping siege tanks, continuing to produce Vikings. He knows that as long as he doesn't stop Viking production, he will not lose that advantage. And he's just going to camp the Starport, force probably another Viking here to land.
So there's a siege tank that's set up over in Cure's main. So I think Cure's safe. I don't think that ByuN can kill him, but at the same time, ByuN's expanding. There's a lot of Reapers that have been made, and, you know, the Reapers... One of the reasons why we were joking about we don't know about, you know, we don't really think about Medivacs healing Reapers and why we never see that is because the Reaper doesn't have any utility in the mid game. So to make that many Reapers, is it going to be great if this game is a very long one? All these Marines that Cure has built out, these have a lot more value.
Yeah, the Marines are going to gain in value as the game continues on. And these Vikings for now just camping the production. And this is one of the problems that you run into if you go for this kind of proxy play and lose something like air control where you could be in trouble, but the Cyclone will be able to shoo those Vikings away once it pops. And ByuN now getting the orbital command set up here at the natural expansion. Kind of a funky looking army though. 8 Reapers, 1 Cyclone, 1 Marine, and 4 Hellions in total here for ByuN. Whereas Cure, it looks like he's already kind of gearing up to the composition that he wants to have in the mid game, and I feel like there is some push potential here, especially with 4 Vikings to 2.
Yeah,
and
well,
the siege tank count.
pushing out like this, I mean, first of all, the Vikings can actually shoot down the buildings. Second of all, you know, if you lose these buildings, you're not going to be able to make anything to protect yourself back at home. You can see that ByuN tries to push in, but the tank's way too strong here. He has to respect the siege mode. He's going to lose this factory. Now, the fact that Cure is able to, to keep making tanks and just basically move across the map, I think he might be able to just deny ByuN's expansion.
He might be able to. The problem is there's a lot of Reapers on the map right now, so it might take him a little bit of time to try and tighten up the defense back at home to give him the room to move across the map. And you know, behind all of this, it looks like ByuN is pretty much just going full racks. I don't even think he's adding in another factory just yet, just really focusing on pumping out as many Marines, getting stemmed combat shields as quickly as possible. And there could be an opportunity for him to get enough bio out that if he's able to catch Cure moving across the map, trying to go for that play where he sets up a contain, you know, to get the maximum value out of these Vikings, out of these siege tanks, ByuN could possibly just overrun him with a superior Marine count if he's able to close the distance. But Cure has just been pumping so many Marines for so long, I feel like it's going to be a while before ByuN's able to catch up.
Yeah, I'm worried for ByuN. I think he's got a pretty cool setup out here where he can try to run around, almost like there's Zerglings or something. Like the Reapers can run around and try to go back into the main if the Terran pushes too far out. But I do think Cure basically has a lot more of what he needs to end the game. I mean, the whole reason why ByuN was setting all that stuff up outside the base was he wanted to stop the game from even getting to this point. Cure is in an extremely beneficial spot, having lasted this far.
Yeah, but behind all of this, ByuN is playing so greedy. He's going for a 3rd command center. Cure just now starting his. ByuN also throwing down double engineering bay. I'm not sure Cure has those upgrades started just yet either. So should this game go long, should ByuN be able to stabilize here and stave off any potential aggression coming out from Cure, as actually that command center does get spotted. Oh, Cure actually didn't see the engineering base, so he doesn't know how fully committed. I thought the 3rd CC might have been a response to seeing the NG base like, okay, you are playing for a little bit more of a longer game here, but no, Cure's still a little bit in the dark of exactly what ByuN's plan is. I think in most situations, in TVT from Cure's position, you would kind of assume that it's going to be this, but considering it's ByuN, I mean, he's such a wild card, it's really hard to get a good read on him.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the double engineering bays, obviously ByuN is actually committed to a long game, but with Cure basically being patient and continuing to build up and accumulate, I think it's going to be in a healthy spot. By the way, Stim was already researched for ByuN, or
yeah, ByuN
okay.
just had Stim finish. I think
Okay,
combat
I'm glad
shields
you
was done
caught
as
that.
well, and he's gonna have 1-1 to no upgrades here for Cure. And although Cure does have, you know, if Cure sieges up and ByuN tries to attack into him, there's no way ByuN's gonna be able to break him because ByuN is pretty much purely on Marines right now. I don't even think he's added any. No, he has no more siege tanks added. It's 40 Marines, 4 Reapers, and then just basically medevacs.
So that means that all that Cure has to do is to get outside of ByuN's base and siege up, and he could probably end the game. But all ByuN has to do is overwhelm with Stim Marines while Cure's en route doing that, and he could win the game that way. So it's a very interesting predicament we're here now that we're far post the kind of crazy all-in. Oh my God.
What a nice catch here for ByuN. And I feel like right now we're seeing Cure run a little bit out of steam. ByuN is just being able to leverage his superior mobility now that his Marine count is fully caught up and surpassed Cure, and it just continues to grow, having more Marines at a time than Cure is. I mean, Cure does have the more death-balling army, but the lack of mobility here and also the lack of upgrades is really going to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, he's going to try to move out. I think that Cure is doing an okay job of playing, catch up. I think he basically thought ByuN was going to just try to do another all-in after that. Maybe we're going to see that big drop happen now. That could be the moment here. So we've got 4 medevacs that are going to move out. We have a scan here that actually just misses this army. This is on top of the E-base. If he gets both of these E-base, it's actually going to be huge.
Oh, that's infantry weapons too. It's going to go down, I think. While deciding not to focus fire at, okay, a 3rd HP. Instead, ByuN opting to go into the main base here. There is a Siege Tank in position, but this might open up an opportunity for him to come and pounce on this 3rd base position. Siege Tank's already getting focused down. 2 SCVs fall as well. CC will have to list.
This is kind of a story of, like, you know, what happens when one guy has Siege Tanks, the other guy doesn't, is everywhere is, like, sort of covered.
Yeah.
And, I thought that the idea of what ByuN was doing was pretty cool, but I think the reality is that this was a lot of wasted infantry overall here for ByuN. I think that Cure is actually getting into better and better shape. 1-1 infantry weapons is going to finish. He'll have to immediately start the next one. Thank God, by the way, he didn't lose the eBay. I almost feel like it would have been better to target down the eBays and give up the Marines, but...
Yeah, instead ByuN opting not to do that. And I do feel like these past couple of trades have certainly gone in Cure's favor. And if there's a time for him to get active on the map, it's probably now that the upgrades are even, before ByuN's 2-2 kicks in. And Cure is looking to be setting up into a position. If he can find a way to maneuver across the map, I mean, ByuN just has so much bio. Cure has to be very careful here.
Yeah, he's so far stayed pretty safe. Is his tank still here? Yes, it is. Tank definitely going to be a big nuisance here during that drop. That allows some of those Marines, it buys them a little bit of time to come in here and try to take this on. But now we're starting to get a lot of SCV kills.
Got 10 more SCVs go down. Cure now going to try and breach the position. Siege Tank's already set up, though, and the bio ball for Cure just gets instantly evaporated, and then the Marines of the Siege Tanks, and I mean, this game just turned on its head very quickly. That's it.
Whoa.
Wow, ByuN just did one fell swoop right there. Cure felt like he had to get something done, gets caught in the middle of the map. ByuN cleaning up all the bio, all of the Siege Tanks, and a really wonky start to this best of 5, but man, what a game.
An extremely weird game.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Like, ByuN, okay, so on paper, I feel like that could not have looked more weird. I mean, ByuN committed so hard, made so many Reapers, had all of his infrastructure in the middle of the map. Why do you do that? You do that because you want to end the game. You're more willing to invest in your infrastructure being an inconvenient place long-term. But short-term, maybe you can actually snowball a fight and take it. Cure basically defended perfectly. He was patient, he didn't overextend. ByuN not having tanks, by the way, just relied on a mobile Marine and medevac army and actually got his 3rd base up a little bit quicker. Cure, at one moment, decides to push out. ByuN stims, comes in at the right angle, does not need to rely on tanks, basically plays around not having tanks, gets the surround, gets the kill, and does enough damage with the drop. ByuN takes game 1, we're going into game 2.
Yeah, that was good. That was a masterclass on working your way out of a kind of awkward position with just supreme map control, as ByuN was just a tempo ahead on upgrades, on command centers, and the macro was just overpowering there for Cure. I mean, Cure moves out on the map with an army that it should have been formidable, but ByuN was just powering so hard back at home that he mowed through it like it was butter, man. I mean, almost pure Marine wrecking through.
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually, to see him just kind of circumvent tank play and just rely on drops and rely on little counterattacks. Got to be a frustrating loss here for Cure. But ByuN, by the way, also coming out with a very novel build. 1 barracks at home, then a proxy barracks in the middle of the map. Factory starport also in the middle of the map. Lots of Reapers. Never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's ByuN in a nutshell, right? He's one of the more creative Terran players we have here in the GSL.
All right, guys, we're ready now to go into map 2. Remember that the winner of this best of 5 will move on into the finals of the GSL Code S. Right now, Cure versus ByuN. ByuN with a 1-0 lead.
Looking forward to it. Go, go, go! Burn it down. Burn it down. Watch it burn. I don't back down from anyone. I don't back down from anything. Of all my foes, you a little what?
Club NV, Cure. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
What? Did you just see that?
He's looking at the bottom
Look
of
at
his
the bottom of his mouse. Maybe he has his build orders written there.
He's got all his little secret notes
all
there.
his secret notes. Yeah.
He's switching to a different gamer
says,
profile.
It says make upgrades. He's like, right. I've seen a lot of things when we zoom in on the player, but
Oh
I've
my
never seen
god. Cure's going CC first.
that. Wow. And
Whoa.
ByuN's going for one base play. Now, we've seen CC first growing in popularity over like the last 2 years, but I don't feel like we had it very often in TVT.
I don't think we've seen it in TVT so far in this Code S. I think this is the first time we're
I
getting
don't
a look
remember
at
it at all last year.
Yeah, it's not
Or,
that.
or if it did. Sorry, I mean,
common.
casted a lot of games, but this is going to get scouted.
Yeah, ByuN's going for an SCV scout, so he's going to be able to have a good read on this right from the get-go. Command Center only halfway done.
So now, whenever you see this and you're not fast expanding, by the way, guys, Command Center first, I mean, it's super risky. There's a reason why you don't see it that often, especially in a mirror matchup. Now, some players scout later than others. They like having that extra worker to mine. Other players scout very soon. They look for proxies. This is about as good of a scout as ByuN could have asked for. He didn't waste his time zigzagging around the outside of his base to look for proxies, and he didn't scout that late. What exactly can you do against a quick Command Center? Well, we're going to find out, at least from ByuN's perspective. I think Command Center first is especially smart inside of a best of 5 or a best of 7. You could not just go Command Center first every game, because they would just rush every game and you'd lose. So the idea is that you bring this out and kind of try to get a quick base out and just sort of scoot ahead and have an easier game. But it's been scouted. So what exactly does ByuN want to do? He's going to make his own Command Center. That is, of course, completely normal. But are there any openings? Is there any kind of Achilles heel with a build like Cure's that maybe ByuN could come in here and punish him?
I feel like ByuN's going to try and take this tempo advantage that he has on tech, where he's about, maybe 75% faster with his factory, going to be about 75% faster with his starport, and try to leverage that into some form of a harassment-based attack to try and even things up macro-wise, because, yes, Cure was able to get away with the Command Center first, but, I mean, tempo is everything in a game as fast-paced as StarCraft 2. I mean, we saw that previously in the last map where ByuN, after he was able to take map control and Cure just felt like he wasn't able to maneuver across the map, ByuN just leverages that into having faster upgrades, having faster expansions.
Dude, look at this.
And
look at this. There's nothing mining at that Command Center.
yeah, it's just producing SCVs. 4 workers
Yeah.
already.
So
He's playing it very safe.
it's smart. I mean,
Oh, that's a little bit of a bummer. Though only one or two guys on gas there for Cure.
yeah,
in the
I
main.
doubt that's intentional.
No, there's no way.
So, all right, so he tries to slip some workers over here.
This is why,
And
we didn't have any
Yeah.
SCVs.
Oh, okay, ByuN, I think over. Wait, hold on. Can you actually get up there? No, okay.
No, I think he wanted to try and just shave off a little bit more of those
I
Marines.
I thought some of those Marines were actually SCVs. I thought for a second he had a little bit more damage output. So he killed 4 SCVs.
I think overall a reasonable trade there. It's going to be a Raven and a Cyclone now coming out for ByuN.
And to give you guys an idea of what happens when you go Command Center first, look at the worker count. A little while. Now, there were 4 SCVs killed earlier, but he's still ahead 33-30. You know, we're 4.5 minutes into this game. And had those workers not been killed, he would have almost had a 10-worker lead. So that's kind of the idea, is that you get all the workers out you need so much quicker as long as you don't get punished. And then you can kind of pedal ahead of your opponent. But I think ByuN took a very middle-of-the-road, smart approach. He didn't try to, like, do some crazy push or all-in. He just got enough to delay the mining at that second base. And then if Cure got greedy like he did, he kills off a couple of SCVs and backs out.
Yeah, very smart conservative play there coming out from ByuN, who, I got to say, I mean, for Cure going Command Center first against any Terran, it's a brave move, but to do it against ByuN of all people, especially after what he did in the previous map, I mean, just goes to show exactly how much prep has gone into the planning here for Cure that he feels comfortable going for this now. Raven is going to pop into the main base, actually focus firing down some attacking units. Not going to be able to get any SCVs there.
There should be enough space on this map. You can keep the Raven there forever,
Yeah,
unless they get a Viking.
A lot of dead airspace behind that. But
The third CC is going to finish soon here for ByuN.
yeah, and this is going to be him evening up the work accounts just a little bit, I think. It should be able to close that distance with that faster third command center. And I mean, this is kind of the way things often go when you go command center first, is you're kind of expecting to take some economic damage from your opponent just because they're going to have more units than you, and they're going to be taking up faster than you are. And so this game, relatively even now.
Yeah, the game's quieted down a little bit. which I think makes sense. I think nobody can really do much of anything right now. I mean, you send the Raven out because it's going to fill up with energy if you don't, and there's no reason to not try to kill 1 to 2 SCVs with an auto turret. And it's the same idea over here. Anything that he can get, actually doesn't get anything there. That was a bad control with the auto turret. It was swapping between SCVs that were on the gas geyser.
Yeah, would have needed to focus fire down that one low HP one, and
yeah,
ByuN's barely missing this actually.
Yeah, well, basically Cure sees that the Raven's over here, so he tries to sneak out the other side, see if he can drop. Both players have the right idea with having a siege tank sieged up by their command center to basically make drops pretty undesirable.
That's kind of an interesting play here by Cure to drop right now and then move over to the natural expansion on foot. I was expecting more for him to just kind of fly into either the natural expansion or the main base and try and get some damage done there, but maybe he's able to catch some SCVs. Perhaps was hoping that ByuN would be, playing greedy maybe and going for a low ground command center or something to that effect, but instead
I thought he was going to just run in. I'm like, oh no, not like this. Well, he can stay outside and see what he can't get done. We have tanks on sieging. Is ByuN itching to try to move out any further? Keep in mind, when you have these 2 medevacs and these Marines here, you can kind of control their third base position, and then when they try to force their way out to fight for it, you can pick it up and drop in the main. If you can do enough damage. And like any other drop in the game, it can be a double-edged sword where you're trying to do that, but actually the drop is shut down entirely.
Yeah, ByuN going to secure that triangle third base now. Cure will try to poke in, see if he can find any damage here. Not really able to get too much done. And behind this, Cure moving across the middle of the map with the rest of his army. ByuN is going to lose 1 Reaper, but no one really cares about the Reaper.
No one cares about the Reaper.
Past a couple
no
of
one
minutes.
sheds a tear for a Reaper after 5 minutes. You're like, all right, The push is going to come out. He's going to scan over here at this third base, and let's see where Cure wants to move. It's going to be up to ByuN to react. I think that there is going to be a drop that's going to go in the main. I think we're about to see that come in right now. And so he's going to try to cause enough problems. Well, hold on. There's a lot of turrets.
I think he might just power through this anyway, just take the damage. It's only 1 turret is going to fire from this angle, so he won't be able to get a full drop-off here in the main base, and that's a lot of damage getting done now. 7 SCVs already falling. Depot's going down as well. As ByuN's going to try and come in, and that's going to cue Cure, I think, to try and set up for an attack at the third base. You can tell he's thinking about exactly what to do with this army.
I think he was expecting more of a commitment from ByuN to defend that. 9 SCVs were killed, so that's pretty good, all things considered. But it was not enough to really create any kind of an opening. In fact, it looks like he's going to try to stay pretty mobile over here. He's actually going to pursue this army.
It's an interesting looking army here.
Yeah.
For ByuN, my goodness.
ByuN is just continuing to chase him down here. And, it's really forcing the sieges and the unsieges.
It's so rare to see ByuN try to play this mech style like this, man.
Yeah. That was, I think, the big kind of transformation in this game is that he's switching into this kind of mobile mech style. I don't feel like we ever really talked about ByuN doing this. We or get to cast it at least.
Yeah, it's not really his forte, but he's making it work right now. I mean, he's getting into a good position outside the third base now for Cure, and if he can siege up here, I mean, he has air superiority, he has these 2 Ravens.
I think he basically, completely outmaneuvered Cure. He, went around him, got sieged up over here. All the tanks are in the middle of the map. But I think with the mech play, I think that it's possible ByuN's going to have enough to actually hold this. He's going to disable that tank. He's going to siege up right over here because these infantry try to come in here and do enough damage.
A couple siege tanks do get taken down, but there's enough of them that they are able to move away from that position. And
he's so smart. He just abandons his third base.
Yeah, ByuN's playing this really well right now. Showing a lot of range, honestly, here in game number 2. I mean, what a 180 from game 1, right? Going from almost pure Marines to basically pure mech here.
Oh my God, this command center is still being pursued. There's a lot of SCVs being killed here. ByuN has half the workers, but all these SCVs that are going to be killed will even that out a little bit. I'm actually shocked this is still alive. And now ByuN is pushing into the natural. This is such a weird game. Cure realizes he can't make any more headway. He's going to try to come in here and maybe surround this push, but it's a lot of tanks, and it's not a lot of infantry here for Cure.
Look at the reinforcements coming across the map for ByuN, dwarfing Cure in army supply right now, 100 to 68. as Kira's going to try and find a window to come in and perhaps sandwich this army. You can see SCVs are getting pulled. Bio coming out right now, focusing down these siege tanks on the front line. Auto turrets are being deployed as well as liberators, and these siege tanks will get cleaned up. A favorable trade there for Kira, but still army supply massively in favor from ByuN, as his economy has not been interrupted nearly as much as Kira's has over the past couple of minutes.
Yeah, and we don't normally see that many Hellions, but I guess if you have the minerals, you might as well just throw them into the mix, right? They can soak up siege tank shots and everything else. Tanks coming out 3 at a time. We've had a lot of different mech plays. This one almost looks like a kind of like a StarCraft 1 tank vulture composition, but we don't really see this that often in TVT, but he's kind of making it work. I mean, as long as the army is big enough, it's very difficult for your infantry to ever run into that many tanks.
Yeah, especially with all these Hellions, too, to help focus down the Marines. I mean, it's kind of an interesting style we see coming out. As
the Hellions are like these damage batteries. Like, yeah, you can see, like, okay, he loses 4 Hellions, that's fine. Half the army has been blown up with the splash damage. And with all these tanks, you have these flying units that can spot for the tanks. You don't even always have to rely on scans. Kira's remade his third base, and he's still committed to the traditional composition of bio and tank. But right now, ByuN is like looking to kind of crack this wide open.
And this air superiority is just paying dividends right now for ByuN. He's trying to force Kira to get every possible scan out of him, as Kira's going to try and breach his position again, but there's so many tanks, Tasteless.
Oh my God, there's only 1 tank left.
Yeah, Kira just getting absolutely mopped up. He does have a couple more reinforcements
He's gonna go
back
for
at
it.
home, but even the Vikings landing now to join the fray for just a moment, is ByuN feeling very confident now to breach this position here outside the natural expansion. All the bios cleaned up. The medevacs are going down as well. Army supply for Kira dwindling, so I feel like ByuN might be going up to a fast 2-0 lead here in our semifinal match against Kira.
GG.
Wow.
I can't believe how fast this is going. I mean, it might not be a 3-0, but it's starting to feel like a 3-0, isn't it?
Yeah, ByuN is playing some crazy games, man. I gotta say, from going from that proxy barracks, factory, and starport in game number 1 into almost pure Marine medevac, and then to turn that on its head here in game 2 and go mech as a response to command center first, a style that I almost never see ByuN do. It wasn't even really until the mid game that I was looking at this. I'm like, wait, that's way too many takes. What is ByuN doing? Because I'm never watching the production tab for ByuN to be like, okay, what composition he's going to go for? Because I'm just imagining it's going to be tank Marine or pure tank every single time. But I mean, that was a clinic. What a cool play there from ByuN. I think Kira's going to probably try and take maybe a short break here, try and collect himself, as now it is match point here in this best of 5. ByuN 1 map win away from going to the finals.
This is wild. I love what you were saying about you weren't even looking at the production tab because you're not thinking what's ByuN going to do. Exact same thing for me. It wasn't until like the 3rd factory's done that I'm like, oh, he's meching. Okay.
Yeah.
ByuN almost always does the same style of mobile infantry with some tanks sort of built in. We have other players that have meched from time to time. I mean, Gumiho comes to mind, but ByuN is really a guy that does not mech. Also, it's a little bit of a different type of mech. It's like all tanks and then Hellions, from what I can tell, to just basically soak up any extra damage from Marines, because once the tanks get sieged up, you don't care what happens to the Hellions. Just throw them in there, let them absorb the damage, and then the siege tanks can take it. And so a very interesting approach here from ByuN. Also, he didn't just straight out mech. He got some infantry at the start. He was ready to kind of play a little bit more of a tactical game, and then he switches into that. So fascinating stuff. ByuN has completely and totally revamped his style.
Yeah, it feels like a big 180 from the games that we saw from him earlier in this GSL Code S, and even previous Code S's that we've casted from ByuN. I mean, coming in with a fresh look here is a great approach in a day where you're going to play not only the semifinal match, but also a final match against another Terran player. Might even be Maru, a rematch from the Group A. And I just love the way that ByuN is showing such a wide range, because he already is kind of a wild card with the way that he plays his style. I mean, he's not quite the same flavor of wild card as Gumiho is, where Gumiho is a little bit more quirky in terms of finding like very specific tactics or very specific builds, or going for mech, as you said. But now ByuN going from, I mean, basically pure bio with fast upgrades, fast expansions, just rapidly taking map control, to then pure mech and finding the space to be able to move across the map against a biotank player like that is really impressive, and also to be able to anchor down the defense back at home, because you could see that Cure really wanted to get something done and force it into something more of like a base trade situation. But ByuN, even though
he actually got Cure to go all the way around him, and then he went to the third. And I think Cure was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I can't surround this." So Cure tries to figure something out. ByuN smartly lifts the command center off. He does lose a bunch of SCVs. He doesn't evacuate those in time, but he gets a very, very good setup. I'm coming into this, I'm wondering, what else does ByuN have planned today? We've had 2 very different games.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we see, what we see from him in game number 3. But I mean, you also have to consider that for ByuN, you know, I don't think you want to keep too many aces up your sleeve right now. You have an opportunity to close this series out with a 3-0 and not show any more builds until the finals. And that's an opportunity that we didn't think we were going to get coming into this series, because Cure and ByuN, on paper, very evenly matched so far this year in TVT across tournament play. Both 75% win rates. I mean, just at the top of their game right now, but it's been pretty one-sided so far. I mean, Cure, he's making plays, but ByuN is just one step ahead of him at almost every turn.
All right, either Cure is going to win this one, and we're going to start to have ourselves a real series. Otherwise, this very well could be a 3-0 where ByuN just moves on, no problems at all, into the GSL Code S finals. We're getting that game loaded up right now. And man, I hope the Cure can take this one, because otherwise this is going to be an extremely short semifinal match.
Looking forward to it. Go, go, go!
Oh boy.
Hold on.
He wants to hide some builds, Tasteless.
Oh, he does.
He wants to hide some builds.
All right. That's 2 SCVs out on the map. Do we have a third? The Observer's looking for it as well. How close are these barracks going to be made?
It's going to be the natural expansion here for Cure.
Wow.
SCV is being cut back at home right now for ByuN.
Just dirty.
Refinery
This
goes
is
down.
sinful.
Sinful. The
builds.
sinful Terran.
Oh my God. I mean, the gas has started. I should say it's actually about to finish.
You know, I was wondering coming into today how many times we were going to see this build, because we have 3. We have 2 best of 5s and a best of 7 TVT.
He doesn't scout it.
He doesn't scout it. Cure is none the wiser.
Is it a beeline scout, or does he try to kind of zigzag around the outside of the... So he's sending it right away, which means he's going to have, as early as possible, an alert to what's coming. But this is basically a build that's decided on fractions of a second.
All right, Reaper's getting pumped out now for ByuN. Cure's SCV. Just
Watching
moments
Cure's
away from
face.
scouting the natural.
Let's look at Cure's face when he sees this.
Not
gets
too much
in
of a
there.
reaction.
Yeah,
He knows.
yeah.
He knows there's a proxy. He doesn't know exactly what the proxy is or where it is, and I think he's going to be very surprised to find that it's literally in his natural expansion.
So this is so close. If you lose one Reaper here as Cure, oh God,
oh,
it's
he's going
going
to go
out.
looking for it, and ByuN's banking the Reapers. He's going to wait until he has 3, I think. This game's hanging on a thread right now for Cure.
Yeah, we don't have a bunker yet.
I think he's
I
caught
think
wind of this.
He knows.
All right, Reaper's coming in. SCV's already pulled, doing a nice job taking the front line. No SCV's going down just yet. Cure doing a great job of exploiting the vision there at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, pretty good. He's going to send out another 4 SCVs. They're basically, you need to use your workers to like tank damage until you can get out enough that the Reapers can't really do anything. Is he supply blocked?
Yeah, T-Po a little bit late
Oh
there.
yeah, that's actually pretty big. Stuck at 23 supply, so the 5th Reaper is going to be... 5th Reaper, by the way, an important Reaper in the rush.
And keep in mind that ByuN has been cutting SCVs back at home to make this rush possible. It's very expensive to execute this. So if Cure is able to just continue to hold, I mean, now that he has a Hellion out, a Reaper, and 3 Marines, the firepower right now almost in Cure's favor.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to feel a little bit worried here for ByuN. He wasn't able to get the early momentum that he was hoping to with those three Reapers, excuse me, coming up the ramp, and yeah, already lifting off these barracks.
Yeah, well, I think he had to make a call here. And look, I mean, this is a very different type of rush than like the rush we had in game 1. This is very much intended to like close the game out. But we've seen, you know, a lot of great players still make it work from here. He's going to see what he can't do with the Reapers that he's got. So Kira has to be very careful when it comes to controlling this.
With nades coming in, no big connections just yet. A couple of Marines go down as well as one Reaper here.
I feel like the Reapers are actually pushing the injured Hellions away. A kind of weird, almost anti-micro moment. He should be maybe a little bit more careful with that because, you know, the Reapers are...
Oh, not again.
If you keep the Reapers alive, you can use that to run back into their main if you leave. If you lose that many Reapers, they might be able to just counterattack you.
I feel like Kira's got a pretty sizable lead here. I mean, this this proxy didn't get too much done.
So he uses the other barracks to basically monitor, you know, what Kira looks like he's going to do. So he sees that this army stayed here. He's going to feel definitely relieved about that. He still has some Reapers out on the map. With this many Marines, the barracks is going to be picked off. Looks like he's going to try to pull it away. I thought he might try to check and confirm on that tech lab there.
I think he's just continuing to go Kira's way, sending out this one Reaper, does get another SCV. This barracks eventually will get cleaned up here. Scouting at the natural expansion there for Cure, and you know, when all is said and done, ByuN can be a little bit faster with the command center on the low ground, so he should be able to close the distance on SCPs. I say that, another command center gets thrown down here for Cure, so he knows that ByuN, having lost one barracks, having sent one barracks all the way back home, doesn't really have too much potential for aggression in the coming minutes. And so I love this read by Cure, just recognizing that situation, being like, okay, I'm going to throw down a third command center. We're just going to power up on macro right now and try to compound this early lead that we've got. Meanwhile, ByuN going for a double Cyclone drop. I think on the field he might have, what, 3 Reapers left? I'm wondering if he's really able to get too much done, especially with a Raven already on the field. And a Cyclone as well for Cure. Cure seems like he's in a really good defensive position as long as his units are in the right spot.
Now, the Cyclone kind of counters the Cyclone Harass. It's the same problems on the Harasser's end where it's like you can't really keep the medevac around long enough and then the Cyclones can be cornered. So far, this is Cure's best game. ByuN did get his base up a little bit earlier. He actually does have, like, well, he did for a second ago have 2 more workers, so he should scoot ahead by 2, but it's, you know, it's not that significant. But remember that in game 1, we saw that Cure was in a pretty good spot, and it was basically ByuN able to kind of play the positional game on the map to make that work. The Ravens were spotted, and so ByuN sending his medevac up north to try to intercept it, but Cure's already reacted well and pulled it back down to the bottom.
All right, ByuN continuing to power up back at home. Cure just compounding this lead, it feels like. I love the safe play that he's going for. Not really overstretching too much, just playing with that high ground CC, adding in as many workers as he can. And looking at the engineering bay timings, it seems like there might be a 20 or 30 second window here for ByuN where 1-1 finishes that he might be able to get some damage done if he's able to force trades. But
isn't it funny that ByuN is always doing these proxies, but his upgrades start earlier after the proxies fail?
Yeah, I feel like he tries to find a way to change those proxies and leverage them into some kind of map control where he forces his opponent into a position where they feel like they need to defend. And then he kind of skimps on the defense back at home. It's almost like
it's like he has less tanks always, but it's like that's okay because he's got, you know, whether it's Reapers on the map or Cyclones in a medevac, he's got a threat he can generate. But I think Cure's play here is pretty smart actually. He just takes a very quick third base and turtles.
Yeah, he's just going to be a little bit behind on upgrades, but everything else is going swimmingly for him. I feel like Cure has a lot of different advantages in his favor, and you know, we've seen him over the course of this Code S play very well tactically when he's on even ground, and he hasn't really gotten a chance to showcase this so far in this series against ByuN. And in game 1, he got thrown off a lot by that early game proxy. His work account wasn't quite as healthy from the get-go because of that, and it was just a very weird game where it was hard for him to find his footing. In game number 2, ByuN with a big switch up going into mech. also caught Cure off guard. So I feel like we really haven't been able to see Cure's macro TVT at its full potential. Although we have seen glimpses of his defense shine at moments.
We got to see how Cure is going to be able to try to control the map. This has really been ByuN sort of in charge of every game. And so far, the start of this game, it's kind of been true for that as well. Cure does have a similar setup with the double medevacs and the Marines. I guess there's nothing here.
This third CC pretty much wide open, so 4 or 5 SCVs will get taken down, as well as 2 supply depots. This is a nice catch there. The Cyclones were going to try and potentially maybe get some lock-ons on those medevacs, but Cure just a little bit too quick. Some dangerous micro.
Yeah.
I'm stressed out watching
the
this.
Cyclone stutter step micro away.
Yeah. It's a funny army to try and control.
This is just too funny. They live?
I can't believe that.
That's-
With no grenades
that's
either.
crazy.
I kind of thought for a moment ByuN would like also try to like pull those 2 Reapers to the side and like throw 2 grenades to interrupt the Marines that were chasing down the Cyclones. But I mean, you get into control like that, and you're also trying to macro back at home, and it just gets so wonky. It's so difficult with so many active abilities, right?
By the way, ByuN not going for mech this time. Kind of the ByuN we're used to seeing over the last, many, many years of him playing. Just going to be Bio with some tanks.
Yeah, more tank heavy than game number 1. Almost matching Cure in total tank count overall. And that upgrade advantage, just one of the main things that ByuN has going for him. Also has a couple more Marines, but he's done a very good job of equalizing, all things said and done. I really thought that Cure was going to be able to compound his lead a little bit more, but just looking at the supplies and the upgrades, it doesn't feel like ByuN's in too bad of a spot.
Oh, hold on. Oh, he's going to back up. Okay, just loses a couple. There's Marines, SCVs, 9 SCVs killed. Where's this happening?
Yeah, where are these SCVs going down? I actually don't know. I think it was, I saw for a moment the SCVs pulled away at the 3rd base on the minimap.
Something happened at the 3rd.
I think something happened there, but all right, nice catch there for ByuN, I guess.
Yeah. And, Cure's got an okay position. I mean, he's like, I don't think that ByuN can break him, but he's also not generating any real threats in the game.
No, I think now it's basically a soft contain, just trying to keep ByuN back and leverage his air superiority a little bit. Cure is setting up to take a 4th command center back at home. Again, also having a 4th command center on the way means that he's going to want to plant that down sooner rather than later. So if Cure is able to just continue kind of maneuvering around the map with these Marines at the 12 o'clock position and this big Raven tank Marine setup, and actually hold that thought, Taste, we have Disables coming in. With a big stem, he does have more Marines, so it's not an easy position for Cure to breach. He's able to close the distance a little bit on the tanks, and that will net him 1 kill.
He's leaving. After after Cure didn't break through, he's realized, okay, well, your Ravens don't have, well, I guess they have a little bit of energy, but probably not enough to break this. He's going to just ignore this and move out with his infantry. Well, I say that, but now he's standing still in the middle of the map. What's he doing?
Breaking down those rocks, I think, and opening a pathway.
Oh, I see. You're right. Good call. 2-2's about to finish.
2-2.
Same thing over here for Cure.
Yeah, Cure caught up on the upgrades. Very even game so far. I would say ByuN's army has a little bit more mobility, but this is a nice setup for Cure outside the natural expansion there at ByuN. And there's enough of an army back at home as well to really make it tough for ByuN to find any damage on Cure's side of the map. And this is kind of the way that I was expecting most of the games to look like between these 2 players coming into the best of 5 today.
Yeah, this is what I was also anticipating. Something that looked a little bit more like this. He's picked up the remaining medevacs. He's going to start to roam with it. I don't know where exactly he wants to drop it. Both sides are maxed out.
Yeah, both sides maxed right now. Banks almost identical, with a little bit more gas in total, but probably won't come too much into play. And all right, it looks like Cure's going to try and find an opportunity here. He sees this 1 tank is unprotected, and actually that's going to be ByuN's cue to move right on into the siege tank line. That's a lot of Marines going down. In the meantime, in the main base there of Cure, a big drop as he's getting mowed down here in the natural expansion of ByuN. He will be able to clear the siege tanks outside that natural, but Taze has this drop in the main doing big damage.
Yeah, a lot of work getting done here, but the supplies right now for ByuN have plummeted.
Upgrades.
He's going to get both of those eBays. That's going to be frustrating. A level 3 denied there. But this isn't without some losses as well. Over here from Cure, his supply is starting to spike down.
I feel like it was a very expensive trade for ByuN to come into that siege position, that entrenched position with Marines and try and clean up those siege tanks. And yes, he was able to get them off the board, but now it's Cure that actually has the bio lead, 65 Marines to 40 a moment ago, and that's where a lot of the army supply difference is coming from. And with 3-3 underway, and was it 1 engineering bay or 2 engineering bays that got taken out?
I think it was 2 actually that were picked up.
ByuN's in dire straits right now.
Well, I think he's going to be able to get these medevacs here too. ByuN may be almost totally dead. This is
starting to feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have very much to work with, especially when it comes to the upgrades. In this matchup, late game upgrades, we don't have them. Vehicles, weapons 2 is about to finish here for the tanks as well. I mean, that's massive. I think that it's possible Cure just comes in with the next attack or 2 and wins the game, maybe even with a drop in the main.
And ByuN is still in a 3-base economy, keep that in mind. Right. Meanwhile, looking at the mini-map, Cure working his way up to 5 bases, so really firing on all cylinders back at home, even as a bank on top of this 200 supply. And ByuN is trying to find damage where he can. This is a nice drop to get things going. Might even be able to get this command center, as would almost expect the one for the main base to lift off and come over here. And actually, yeah, ByuN, he knows he needs to make some big plays to come back in this game, so he's moving across the middle of the map as well.
All right, another drop, though, over here at that natural. Meanwhile, ByuN going to try to kick in the front door. Back here, he could get on top of everything. The E-base, though, already done with their upgrades.
That's going to be a base trade. We'll see if ByuN's able to hold on in the main. Only a couple of siege tanks up there. There's a lot of Marines here in the natural expansion of Cure. Command center does get taken out. Siege tanks are down here as well, so there will be very few mining bases except for that one at the top left there. And Ben, you can tell he wants to try and breach this position with the siege tank fire. I mean, the Marines are so clumped up on the ramp. He's going to try and come down to the natural too. But
there's a lot of tanks up here. This is a lot of Marines that could get thinned out, especially if Cure's going to commit. Oh, but I think he just has enough, and I think that may be the game-defining moment here.
Yeah, he's on top of the production now, and these buildings are going to lift here for ByuN, but ByuN not able to breach the main base for Cure, whereas his main is forfeit. Keep in mind, Cure still has that mining base all the way in the top left.
That's the big important part, is that base is still mining. There is a command center on the move, but it's being shot at by Marines. I think this is almost done.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way for ByuN to force a draw or even work his way into a win. It would take some miracle throw from Cure, which I don't see happening. I mean, ByuN, even if these barracks survive, he's not going to be able to produce any units. He has no SCVs, no command centers.
All right,
being revealed.
Yep. That's what happens when you lose all your command centers here. So all he has to do is lose his buildings to die out. I think ByuN might still try to play this out. I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah, it is match point, but I mean, the position here is just so entrenched. Army supply is 2-to-1 ratio.
That was it, yeah. Once he couldn't break the tank line on the high ground, there's not a lot to fight for.
And Cure gets on the board. We do have a series tasteless.
Thank God. I was going to say, like, 3-0 that fast. I'm not ready to move through this GSL that quickly. Big play there from Cure, but let's not forget how it started. I mean, that really was ByuN trying to cheese out that win after getting a steady 2-0. If ByuN seems to play more within the orbit of like a normal game, then I'm worried he might be a little bit too strong for Cure.
Yeah, ByuN looked pretty solid in the mid game considering how poorly that proxy floundered. I mean, he cut a lot of SCVs. It was proxied about as far away as it possibly could be, all the way across in the middle of the map. And the natural expansion, in fact, of Cure, and really no damage was done at all to his opponent off of that. So nice win there for Cure, seeing a little bit more of the solid macro style that he's known for. And for ByuN, I mean, that is one of those builds that it's almost like a throwaway. You know, you're up 2-0, you have 3 games to work with, you just have to win one of them to make it to the finals. You want to try and hide some of those builds because you have another TVT waiting for you if you reach that grand stage. And now we're going to be moving on to Royal Blood. We'll see what ByuN cooks up this time. I feel like almost every single game, it's really been him dictating exactly how the story is going to go.
Well, I mean, he's always the first to act strategically. ByuN did remove his headset, so he may be requesting a timeout. Each player gets to request one small timeout, but you know, we're rapidly approaching the end of this best of 5. Either we get this tied up 2-2, which is the dream, or ByuN's going to win this 3-1. And honestly, ByuN, I mean, I could not be more impressed with this guy right now. He looks so good.
Really solid. I mean, again, I just want to go back to how well he played that mid game. Yes, he did lose, but he put up a really solid fight after an opening went about as poorly as it possibly could there, with those Reapers getting almost nothing done in Kira's base, and Kira still had to work for it. Had to work really hard.
He really did. Okay, headset is going back on for both of our players. We're going to be going into this map momentarily. Yes, we are. I see the start button now being clicked here. All right, guys, the best of 5 to fight for who will be the first player in the finals of Season 1 of the GSL. CodeS continues on here. Right now, Cure with 1 win to ByuN's 2. We move this on to map 4 here, Royal Blood. Find out which Terran is going to go on to that final spot.
Looking forward to it. Go, go, go! Burn it down, okay? Burn it down. Watch it burn. I don't back down from anyone. I don't back down from anything. Of all my foes,
Club NV, Cure. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
TT versus
Wow. Oh, we've got another SCV on the map.
Oh, I actually missed this one.
Yeah, in my head, I already decided. I'm like, he's not going to do this again. Now, is this the same double racks?
I think this is the same opening that we saw in game number 1, at least
Yes.
so far.
But it's a double racks here for
Ooh.
Cure, and I mean, this isn't a universal rule, but it is kind of safe to say that if you're going to double rack somebody and you make one or both of your barracks in the middle of the map, and they just make 2 barracks in their main, the person who has the 2 barracks in their main usually just wins that and has an easy game.
Is that a third barrack? This is 3 racks here from Cure. So I feel like this is the best possible
This is literally
choice.
I mean, I can't imagine a world where ByuN can get anything done now. And by the way,
Yeah.
how often do you ever cast 3 barracks in the middle of the guy's base?
Against 2 barracks, this might be Cure just having a really good read on ByuN as a player and knowing that he's probably going to fall back to something like this. And the depot again, coming out in the middle of the map, makes me think that ByuN's going to start to commit the same way we saw in game number 1 with the factory and the starport. But there's so many Reapers getting pumped here for Cure.
But the Reaper accumulation is going to be a little bit delayed if, in fact, we have the factory come down next, or if we have ByuN maybe just get a kind of good engage, a little bit of finesse with the Reapers, gets an early kill. I think it is possible for Cure to lose.
It is possible. That depot is lowered. Reapers coming into the main base now. Does scout both barracks. A lot of SCVs going down already as Cure feels like a little bit slow to react to this one.
Yeah, well, it's a risk.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he gets one.
Oh, he might actually get the second one. He's going to cut it off.
Oh, well,
Oh, this is a disaster here for ByuN.
Right, game 5.
Oh, man.
Yeah, losing
It
the first 2
does.
Reapers, by the way, like, we're not even trying to be, like, facetious here. Like, if you lose the first couple Reapers when you do this, like, you're in so much trouble.
Oh, no. ByuN has the bad rally back at home. He has 4 SCVs that aren't mining. Oh, everything's going wrong right now. Oh, this is a disaster.
And
Not
SCV
like
looking
this.
like a tugboat for the other SCVs. Oh, this is a huge
this
screw up.
is
This is like
he notices, but that was 4 or 5 SCVs that were idle for maybe half a minute. I mean, it's
a lot.
like what, it's 100, 150 minerals. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of moolah. He wants to throw down a starport right now. He can't.
He doesn't have the money. Yeah, you can see the gas is banked up. So he's going to come in here now with this. This is so many Reapers. I mean, what do? Do you know how many grenades can be chucked down here?
And pretty much constantly with the cooldown, just continuously throw down these grenades. He's going to try and do his best to get us around, but all these SCVs are going, and I think that's pretty much going to be it here in game 4. I mean,
Now that's what I call a game of StarCraft.
show that one to your friends.
Yeah, show that one to your friends, guys. Get them
GSL's
hooked.
back, baby.
Yeah, they go, what is this game? I want to be a pro at this.
Well, ByuN's going to try and get something done, but 3 SCVs in total.
Well, ByuN has 2 workers in this game. And I think one of them might be the SCV in the middle of the map here.
To his credit.
There it is. GG. Okay, game 5. Go.
To his credit, trying to make a show of it there on the main base, but yeah, there's just no chances.
Oh, look at ByuN. He's sticking his throwing his head back.
That's as bad as it gets. Not only did you get blind countered with your proxy 2 racks against in-base 2 barracks, but it wasn't 2 barracks, it was 3 barracks. And not only was it 3 barracks, but your first 2 Reapers got stuck and caught.
Yeah, they got cornered because you tried to get a second SCV kill.
Yeah, I mean, it literally doesn't go worse.
Not all wins are created equally.
No,
but you know, I think that ByuN, you know, as we're getting further along in the best of 5, he is starting to look considerably weaker. Now Maru's over here. Maru's trying to talk to him about these games. A crank here as well.
Yeah.
I think they're pointing out the error early on that you should have pulled out with those Reapers.
Probably like, man, you got really messed up there, dude. That was terrible.
Yeah, you lost that. I mean, you might not get to the finals, LOL.
You're throwing, dude. You had a 2-0 lead. I mean, you can't really take too much from that game. I feel like that game tells us nothing really about where these players are at. And after seeing game number 1 and game number 2, and that was game 4. So after seeing the first 3 games, I mean, I really like ByuN's play in all 3 games. Even in game number 3, when he went for another 2 barracks proxy,
yeah,
and it didn't get anything done, he didn't look as bad because, I mean, it wasn't as hard of a blind counter as Cure was able to whip out there in that map. But
I'm only afraid that he's starting to go back to the builds that he already tried. Like, that build didn't work anyways in game 2. He won game 2 regardless, but that was the game 4 build was from game 2. And it's very interesting to see Cure making 3 racks inside of his main. Like, that's very abnormal. If not just making 3 racks, but normally if you're going to make 3 of them, you make that in the middle of the map because you're going to rush. This was almost like it's a build designed to just, like, stop his rush.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is. I feel like ByuN might be one of those players that is getting metagamed a little bit here in this best of 5.
A lot of times it doesn't seem like he has a ton of builds. Like, he's not like SOS. Or I guess a better example would be like TY or Special. Special, like, has so many different builds he can use. So good to see you guys down here in the audience. This is so fun.
It is really good.
The tickets sold out, by the way.
Yeah.
It's packed down here in the studio. So, yeah, I think the thing with ByuN, he had 2 very different builds, but then it seems like we're almost like back to square one.
Yeah, it does feel that way a little bit. You know, in game number 3, I thought that the thought process there with the proxy 2 barracks at the natural expansion was him just trying to go for, you know, like a coin flip, like, okay, I'll do this, it'll work or it won't. I'm not really going to reveal anything for the best of 7 finals if I get there.
Yeah.
And maybe if I win, you know, I only play the 3 games. It's the minimum amount of builds that I need to show before I head into another TVT.
Yeah. And
I like that strategically a lot, but then in game number 4, kind of doing the same thing, going back to what we saw in game 1 with, like, the barracks and then the depot and the proxy factory, proxy starport. I mean, it was a good build. It didn't end him a win, but again, it's like you're kind of going back to what you did already.
Well, the other player's not guessing after they've experienced that build once. I think it's important that you have some openings that you bring out, and you're okay just abandoning them in the best of 5 if it doesn't work the first time. I think if he won with that game and made the rush work, why not try it again? But the fact that Cure just, like, stopped it with a normal play, like, I mean, Cure just kind of, he scouted it late and he's like, oh, God, and, you know, makes the right units to hold it. Don't know if it was a good call. Obviously, the game where he just straight up proxied Reapers, that also backfired. We've had more games of proxy Reaper than we've had normal games.
It's been almost every game.
Yes, it's been almost every game. But the one game where Cure didn't play normal, Cure went for a command center first, that's the one that ByuN won. With mech.
Yeah,
so
kind of an interesting way that things are shaking out so far, and I wonder.
Yeah, we're basically, like, kind of everything we're talking about is about these Reapers and the proxy play and the fact that it started to work and now we're getting further along in the series, it's not working. Odd. At the same time, I almost have more questions about the mech build.
Yeah, that
back
was
there.
also very
That was also,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, as a response to Command Center first, it was a unique play that we saw out of ByuN. It does feel like he is kind of, at least in the first 3 games, it felt like he was coming up with a lot of different wild stuff, and now it's looking a lot closer. Cure bring it all the way to the ace match here.
Yeah, let's see what he can do.
Final map, winner will go on to the grand finals. Is the best of 5 here for the semifinals between these 2 players. And ByuN, I'm wondering what the play is going to be. I would be surprised if we saw another proxy from him. I think we I have to think that we go back to something more
I don't
standard.
think he can proxy again.
Excuse
I
me.
think he has to stop. Like, if he proxies again and loses, I feel like he kind of had it coming, right? But, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
And
tough to call.
By the way, Cure not been aggressive in 1 game. He's just doing a standard build, or he's doing a command center first, but so a greedy build, but just kind of scouting what ByuN's doing. And he's already caught up 2-2. Very rarely do we have somebody up 2 games, then losing the next 3. That could be this series right here now. Is a reverse sweep here where Cure recovers and takes out ByuN. We're now loading up our final map. It's going to be on Grezvin. Let's find out which one of these 2 players goes on to the finals.
Club NV, Cure.
Very carefully looking at the mini-map. There are no SCVs out.
As soon as the game loads in, we both lurch forward and
we're like,
try and
alright.
spot first in the SCVs.
Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
Nothing too crazy. It's going to be a barracks first opening. It's a gas for Cure. A gas first opening here for ByuN, but... Oh, 2 gas here for Cure. Okay. Interesting stuff. I am a little glad that we're not seeing another proxy barracks coming out from ByuN.
Yeah, I mean, this is a relief. We do have some players that kind of, the anxiety kicks in and they're like, oh, God, it almost becomes degenerate, especially with cheese, where it's like, let's just try this again. Now, this time, Cure's sending an SCV out. Probably just a normal SCV scout, trying to figure out, okay, is there anything weird happening here? If not, I'll kind of go ahead with what I was going to do normally.
Yeah. Welcome to the studio, guys. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, good to have you guys out here. So glad we can at least have our finals, or semifinals, I should say, and finals here with an audience. And by the way, this esports stadium here in Jomshul, it rules.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And the area is a lot of fun, too. There's a lot of good places to eat and shop around here.
I've been lucky. I've been doing a lot of casts out of this for KDL over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, for Card Rider.
That's a fun esport.
Yeah, it is, man. That's like the original
go
one along
fast.
with StarCraft out here. It was Card Rider and StarCraft when the game.
I actually remember back when I was living at the Startail house in like 2011, 2012, every single time we would stop our practice session and go upstairs for dinner, we would all gather on the couch and on the floor. We would sit down on the big screen. We would watch Kart Rider League.
Those were the 2 games they put on TV out in Korea.
Yeah.
By the way,
right.
Cure's going to come in. He is going to get the kill onto the SCV.
Yeah, SCV is getting traded out here, so it will delay ByuN's command center a little bit, but overall the worker differential should not change that much. Both players opting for the low ground command center here. And Cure actually with a second Reaper, whereas ByuN opted to go for a reactor. So there is a little bit of a threat here up until those Hellions get out. I wonder if Cure is going to be able to finesse 1 more SCV kill out of this.
I think he will.
Oh, if that delays the CEST, oh, that's clutch.
Okay, so that's a really big play here. A lot of times there's not much of consequence that comes from this, but delaying the command center just delays every other SCV that's ever going to come out of there.
Yeah, that's basically 2 SCV kills, and you're also delaying the mule. So it's energy that's going down also on that command center. And yeah, that's nice there for Cure. As a player that's going for a little bit of a later CC because he went 2 gas instead of 1 gas. I mean, those are the wins that you take to try and even up the economic disparity as fast as you can. I mean, oftentimes when you go 2 gas like this against a 1 gas opening, you don't really get to pay off the faster tech speed until later in the game when you come in like with medevacs or with Ravens or with some other harassment. So for Cure to be able to pick off this many SCVs that early is really nice.
It's a good start for sure. I'm watching ByuN now get this Raven out. I'm sure we're going to see that Raven loop around the edge of the map to try to get some auto turrets chucked down there. A second Raven has started. Both sides are getting Ravens. You know, there's a couple ways you can handle the Raven. It seemed like earlier, like last year especially, and the year before that, it was more popular to save up and try to disable tanks and come in and attack. And people seem to have backed off from that and tried to get more guaranteed value by chucking auto turrets down. But we do occasionally have that like quick Raven disable.
Yeah. We'll see if they're able to find any damage. So far in this series, it feels like the Ravens haven't really gotten too much done harassment-wise. Both players have been generally on top of it. All right, Jeff coming in with these Hellions, going to try and find some damage, but a nice spread there from Cure. His units do clump up, and that's going to make ByuN try to pounce on the position, but not really able to get anything done.
Yeah, he literally doesn't kill an SCV with that.
No, I got a little excited there. I thought we might get a couple more SCVs, but no.
Pretty stellar defense here from Cure, honestly.
Yeah, that was a good spread of units there, the natural.
Got that third CC started, by the way, for ByuN.
Wait, is that a second starport here for Cure already? That was a starport that went down on the natural expansion, right? Yeah, we have a second starport here for him. Okay.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah, and a later third command center hasn't even started just yet. Not something that you see too often here.
So it looks like he might want to try to win the fight in the sky first and basically get a position that can't really be broken. If you can get enough Vikings to gun everything down, and especially with the second starport out, you're just getting a lot more Vikings over time. You can basically control the skies, which can allow you to then have an edge with your tanks. Anytime you see one player get a command center and the other doesn't, it means the other player basically has to attack or do something, right? He's going to look for the first opportunity. So we've got Cure moving outbound on the map. ByuN is not really moving out on the map. He's just going to try to set up for his third. Oh, I'm sorry. He is moving out. Okay.
Wow.
This should be a very interesting engage here.
Yeah, a lot of disables and a lot of auto turrets here for ByuN, so this could go either way. We'll see. Raven's engaging right now, and Cyclone does pop off. Disables coming in only for Cure so far, as ByuN just opting to go for the auto turrets instead, and it seems like that might have actually been the right call. He's going to clean up almost all of this. Look at that. The Ravens do get traded out, but that was a win, man.
I'm not sure the rationale for sticking your ground there. All things considered, there was still enough that ByuN had to fight that the disables didn't really do anything. I almost think auto turrets might have been a better play. Normally you disable tanks when their tanks are in siege mode, and then you run up and you pick a fight. So there was almost like a weird executional error there from ByuN where, like, I almost can't explain the mindset.
Yeah.
For Cure, I mean, excuse me.
Well, it looks like ByuN, although he lost those 3 Ravens, is going to have a pretty good army lead now. 10 army in total, and a lot of that's in Vikings. Actually, Cure moving across the middle of the map like this with these Vikings, I'm thinking that he was going to try and get into the main base there for ByuN for a drop or something to find some value, because, you know, the units that works the best with these Vikings is siege tanks, and his siege tank count got completely reset with that little skirmish there in the middle. So it's not the best position for Cure to be in. And I'm a little concerned for him now back at home, because, I mean, that double starport, it delayed the third command center. It's delaying his barracks because his economy is just a little bit behind tempo-wise. And we have these engagements coming in, but these are trades that aren't really going the best here for him.
Yeah, Vikings, they always get punished when they try to fly away. They're actually like the slowest unit Terran has in some senses. I mean, you know, especially for a flying unit like that. And I mean, yes, they can land and fight on the ground, but I'm worried that ByuN might have so much on the ground, he could just easily win any interaction he has.
And ByuN with these scans is a very good idea of exactly what Cure's army setup is right now, and Cure's almost playing Sky Terran. He's even mixing in Liberators. Got 1 already with this army engagement, so we'll see how he decides to use this. It's a really odd army we hear coming out from Cure. It's like almost mech, although it's not really mech. He's getting Stimpack. He's going to be making more Marines back at home, but for now it's just these Vikings, these siege tanks, and these Liberator. 2 more Liberators in production.
It is fascinating to see him elect to do this in such an important game. He's going to run right through here now. He's going to get right underneath these siege tanks and start to pick them off. There's going to be only 2 tanks left.
That's a lot of siege tanks going down there for Cure as ByuN, with a good read, just able to sacrifice a number of Marines for siege tanks. And keep in mind, again, that's really the advantage that you have here for Cure with the superior Viking count is you can leverage, you can get more value out of siege tanks as that count grows, but it's actually ByuN with a 6-3 siege tank lead after all of these engagements. I mean, if you make some scans back at home, it kind of mitigates the bonuses that you get from these these Vikings, right? And so it's a little bit of a fine line for Cure to walk right now in terms of defense. And yes, he does have some things going for him. The Liberators are great, the Vikings are great, but the ground army just isn't it right now. 8 Marines in total, 3 siege tanks in total. Meanwhile, ByuN is just pumping on all cylinders, even going for a 4th command center behind this push.
Yeah, ByuN's looking. I don't know that he's going to get in. Oh, hold on a second. He's going to stim and just go for it right now. And the Vikings could soak up a little bit of the damage unless the targeting here is really, really good from ByuN. And honestly, the siege tanks are doing a lot of work. We've got more Marines coming here from the side.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad rally, it feels like, as they didn't actually engage over there on the left side. And that was about as good of an engagement for Cure as it possibly could have gone. ByuN really thought he could steamroll that position a little bit, but perhaps didn't anticipate exactly how high the Liberator count would be. Cure now sitting on 3 Liberators. Marines were not able to take those out. And so that's going to be Cure whittling away a significant portion of the bio ball here for ByuN, and that could be the momentum that he needs to start coming back in this game, because I gotta say, I was really concerned about his position after those first couple of skirmishes in the middle of the map, but now it's looking a little bit better.
Okay. A drop is ready to go into the natural. There's a push coming down here towards the middle. We have a small stim here from Cure. Cure's going to back up. 1-1 is done, by the way, for Cure. Oh, unfortunate moment to try to move in there. These Vikings can hit these medevacs. He's going to have to back up.
I'm actually surprised that ByuN's going to try and siege this position down right here.
I think it's sort of a reactive setup. He sees the Vikings, he panics, he unloads. Now he's like, okay, well, I'm here. I got to try to make this work. He is getting some stuff done.
Yeah, 1 refinery does go down. But the Liberators, I mean, they're doing such a good job of shooing away these siege tanks. And, oh, that one's even stuck right there behind the mineral line.
It up again.
Terrible. At least he gets 1 volley off before it falls. And, you know, when trades like this happen, usually with a player like ByuN, I'm looking at the minimap to see what he's setting up for behind it, what drop he's going for in the main base, or what attack at the 3rd base. And, I mean, that one just didn't really... He wasn't able to wiggle any value out of that, because Cure's defense back at home is really started to solidify. And so now with Cure getting ready to take a 4th command center, floating over into that 4th base, the economies are going to start to equalize. And Cure, I mean, keep in mind, during all of this time, not only have these past couple of trades been going his way, but he's also been pumping on those 2 starports. So the air superiority is still highly in his favor. But, oh, big moment right here, Tasteless.
Hold on, first siege up here for Cure. It looks like the no man's land has already been created. He can't really make it in there. By the way, 2-2 about to finish. Vehicle weapons +1 inbound here as well. I don't know that ByuN can actually break this position, especially as the tanks siege up, but I think that actually ByuN might have the first shot. Oh, these Liberators are so annoying. He's actually going to be forced away.
Liberators are doing such a good job of zoning away these siege tanks just at every turn here, as most of those Vikings get... Oh, the scan actually missed the medevac, so most of those Vikings did get cleaned up, and then ByuN went for the scan, or excuse me, went for the drop back over to the top right corner, probably going to head down into either that 4th base or the natural expansion of Cure, and Cure missed it with his scan. So there's potential with this kind of man mode Terran army that ByuN has made, where it's like almost all siege tanks and Marines, that he's able to find something, but oh, a scary moment here.
I mean, this is the thing about ByuN. Sometimes he overextends. We've got a big push coming down here. Over at the 3rd, he's going to force a liftoff. SCV's pulling out. The command center getting low.
Yeah, command center getting low. SCVs scramble to repair, are not able to get it off. His +2 infantry weapons is getting a ton done. Infantry also with the 4th base procure, getting a lot of economic damage done, and these Liberators are going to try and continue to shoo away the siege tanks, but that was a big win there for ByuN. I was scared for a moment when he tried to go into that natural expansion for the drop, but it just bought him enough space to be able to siege down that 3rd command center, and now it's Cure up against the ropes.
Yeah, Cure's in a pretty economically difficult position here. He doesn't really have control of that base that's to the north of his natural. He lost. Oh, whoa.
We're gonna have a pause here.
All right. So is this going to be ByuN's wrist? That's my first question.
I wonder exactly what is going on there. I think overall he said that his wrist hasn't been too much of an issue this season, and certainly he's been playing as if it hasn't been, right? He's been looking very solid, but I wonder exactly what is going on here as we did have a pause called there by ByuN. Army Supply is very even right now. Cure just lost his 3rd base, reset to a 3-base economy in total. ByuN getting set up to have a 5th base. Building that command center back at home. So a bit of an economic lead now for ByuN. Army's about even. And
what is going on right now?
Seems
I'm gonna bet on wrist.
Yeah, something seems wrong.
I have my ByuN bingo card out. And
oh,
okay, so it is wrist pain.
He's getting tremors in his wrist, he says.
My ByuN bingo card, it'll say, 2 racks Reaper. I put one down on that. Super aggro drops. I put one down on that.
And the really sad one.
Then there's a sad one. That's the one in the middle. Like I've cast it enough times. It's going to be wrist pain. Put that up. So he's had some issues with his wrist in the past. And then this season, I don't think he had a pause for this. Am I correct on that? We didn't have a paused game.
This could be one of those scenarios where, he's finally making it to the offline stage. We've had about a week since the last match, because it was last Thursday that we had our previous GSL match in the round of 8, and you got to think that he's just been grinding since then. And TTVT is one of those matchups where it's very demanding physically. It's one of those matchups that hangs on a dime. You got to be really keen with your control, and you got to be very active on the map. So hopefully we'll be able to resume this with ByuN able to get his wrist in a little bit of a better position. Hopefully it won't have too much of a bearing here on this game as we are resuming now. ByuN still sieged outside of the 3rd base, what was the 3rd base here for Cure. Hopefully feeling a little bit better as the game continues.
Yeah, let's see how he plays the rest of this out. I will say he seems to have Cure kind of on the ropes here. We have Cure kind of pushing in, but this drop in the main. Oh, he gets one medevac. He gets knocked right out of the sky.
Oh, yeah, that's not really going that well. The second medevac also got cleaned up there by the missile turrets. And
behind all this, ByuN is continuing to just gobble up the map. I mean, he's getting bigger and bigger. So you got to not just watch, anything that Cure shuts down, but realize the reinforcements from ByuN and the growth on his side of the map is going unimpeded.
He's taking a lot of bases, and Cure is still on a 3-base economy in total, and that's, counting the main base and the natural expansion, which are at least halfway mined out here at this point for Cure. So there's a lot of oversaturation going on, as our observer now pointing out. Cure going to try and chew away these siege tanks from the 3rd base so we can finally reinvigorate his economy with some mining here. And another big engagement coming in from the top side. And ByuN's really pushing it with this one. Takes on the siege tanks and a lot of bio. I don't think Cure anticipated him committing quite so hard here, but that was a nice win there for ByuN. An even trade, but he wins the position, and now this 4th base is under threat.
He's going to siege up over here. He's going to be separating any reinforcements coming down to that 3rd base. But there is one tank there to basically defend. I think that ByuN might have overextended just slightly. He's going to back up. I think this is a wise decision. There's going to be more reinforcements coming. The command center has been remade. We don't have SCVs there yet, but they're going to be transferred in a second to the 4th base.
ByuN just continuing the posture here with those siege tanks eking forward. He has to be very careful. It's a bit of a scary position. Keep in mind, there is a sensor tower at that 4th base there for Cure, so he knows exactly where this army is positioned all the time without needing a scan. And
I think that ByuN might just have enough. Like, he's not going to necessarily kill him, but I think he can actually take out another base over here.
He might be able to pull him apart. So Cure's going to try and chase this down. In the meantime, ByuN is moving on into the triangle 3rd yet again. Going to see if he can focus down the command center, but no, the siege tanks zoning away that. In the meantime, at the top side, Cure continuing to push back ByuN. So Cure going to take a supply lead for the first time in a long time here in match number 5, as this drop also getting cleaned up in the main base. 10 SCVs do fall, but keep in mind, Cure, at least until this point, hasn't really been able to saturate his mineral lines that well, and still the triangle 3rd not able to get secured.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He's going to just lose this outright if he doesn't get that repaired. In fact, I think he might just dive on it. Oh, another attack comes in over here. Looks like both of them realize that they're hitting at the same time here. The stim comes down. The Marines are going to be driven away. And he got the command center over here. So this is getting worse for Kira. I think Kira is like, he's surviving these attacks, but not dying is not enough. The fact of the matter is that there's been not a single drop on ByuN's side of the map, not a single push over there. And even when Kira feels like he has a moment where he can maybe move out on the map and do that, ByuN's already there to attack in once more.
And Kira's only playing defense. ByuN is macroing so well back at home, and all these trades have been relatively even. I think the lack of economy here for Kira, I mean, having to lift now the main orbital command into the triangle there to try and set up some economy, it's a very difficult position. Oh, I love ByuN trying to find this very cheeky angle, but those poor Marines getting shelled by the tanks there.
Yeah, he can't quite get in there, but I think ByuN might try to even go underneath.
Maybe.
You can see Kira feels like he might have enough to try to get some kind of position, but ByuN is basically ready to stim and dive in any moment that he thinks there's weakness here. He's going to pick up that one tank, pull away.
The thing is, I feel like Kira's army on paper just beats ByuN's if they have a straight-up engagement. The siege tank count is higher. He does have air superiority. He does have liberators to zone away these siege tanks and force this really micro-intensive mini-game here for ByuN as he's trying to keep them alive. And the question that I have is whether ByuN is going to, or excuse me, whether Kira is ever going to be able to find the space to actually get that money engagement that he needs, because ByuN, he's just eating the map. He's roaming around with this massive group of Marines, probably looking to try and take down that triangle third again as he continues to expand to the bottom left. I mean, he's taking so many bases that even though Kira's army is on paper superior, I feel like he's never really going to be able to get the big engagement he needs.
Well, hold on a second. ByuN has kind of ran around this here, and you know, when you don't have anything covering the tanks, the infantry can kind of just run through and shred everything up. And we have, you know, a pretty good push here from Kira, but this infantry over here that are in the other location right back here, this is a lot of damage that can be dealt. He's forced that command center to lift off again.
Oh, and that was a really good read there by ByuN as well. He knew that Kira was going to be sending back the bio to try and defend against that harassment there at the triangle third. And so he ran in with all of his Marines, picked off most of the Liberators. Only one now remains here in the front lines. And although this base will be evacuated here for ByuN, I mean, look at the bottom left side of the map. He is saturating a ton of different bases.
Kira's going to try to come forward. I think this is an overextension.
Yeah, it might be. Marines trying to focus down. SCV's also getting pulled from the natural expansion. The siege tanks are falling, though. At the end of the day, a relatively even trade. But keep in mind, ByuN's economy, it is superior. He will have the easier remax.
Very true. The infantry are going to come back now. It's a very sparse amount of army units here for Kira. And in fact, he's going to be mining over here at the bottom left. It seems like right now ByuN is just barely one base ahead.
Yeah, two base economy effectively right now for ByuN.
Which is better than the one base economy that Kira has. Kira's still not mining from that you know, new base that he's, well, not new, but the same base that's been you know, denied over and over.
And again, on paper, I feel like Kira's army is better. If he's able to get another good engagement, then maybe things can start to go his way. It's just so scary here in this position. And you see him back at home finally trying to macro back up. He does have that fourth orbital command done. He will be sending that up to the top right position to begin to expand a little bit more. But you know, the issue here for ByuN is he hasn't really ever been able to catch Kira off guard with his army in the middle of the map. And although he does have the Marine count lead, the siege tank count is doubled here for Kira, and you see Kira roaming around the map. He's continuously denying mining here from this forward base of ByuN.
Yeah, it's pretty good. ByuN's still ahead in bases. The one thing we should note is that this game can really go either way right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually pretty damn even. I mean, supplies are close, but this could come down to like a better spread of Marines or a drop that just kills off a wave of SCVs.
Absolutely, especially with Kira now solidifying his economy back at home. We might, I mean, this one could still go long with how crazy it's been, how it feels like we've been on, you know, the edge of a knife for the past couple of minutes. Kira dropping two very unlucky Marines.
He's actually going to, I think he's going to expand up into 12 as well.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And ByuN just continuing to roam around. He scans the triangle third yet again, and just watching the mini-map movement here for his army, I feel like he wants to deny that base
I think he's going to drop
one
the
more
main.
time. Well, he might. Yeah, looking at the
I think
mini-map,
he's
there might not be a
scanning.
lot of turrets.
Yeah, and I think he's looking at this and he sees this whole, oh, well, maybe not even do that. Just run up here and kill this base off again.
It's so low on HP already, and these are 3-tier Marines, so they're just going to mop that up. And Cure getting caught a little bit out of position. Would have loved to have a sensor tower for him there. That triangle there, I feel like it's like the 4th time that base has gone down so far this game.
I've stopped counting. It's been denied so many times. There is a small army moving up here. He does pull the SCVs away.
But I mean, look at the supplies. This is really just ByuN's economy not being interrupted.
Yeah, that's been this whole game.
Over minutes and minutes and minutes, whereas the triangle third for Cure keeps getting denied. I mean, at sometimes his 4th base was under threat. The top right expansion also, for a brief moment there, was under threat. And God, look at this. In units lost-wise, ByuN has lost way more minerals, but he's just mined so much more of the map that it doesn't matter.
Okay, this small attack over here is probably going to draw ByuN back. A much-needed move here from Cure. He stims in, he kills off this infantry. You know, it almost for a little bit seemed like ByuN might have enough to end this. Like, he's been basically like a little bit ahead this whole game, but Cure's kind of just, you know, weathering the storm, so to speak.
I feel like we're about to reach the point where it'll become very difficult for Cure to continue to hold on, because ByuN is about to reach triple-digit numbers of Marines to the 30 or 40 that Cure has on the field. And with that level of mobility, especially max upgrade Marines, I mean, Cure's going to be spread really thin with these siege tanks. Even this expansion here getting denied. Keep in mind, Cure, he doesn't have a lot of mining bases, so this hurts him a lot. The word counts, although they are even, it doesn't really tell the full tale of where these economies are at. And I just feel like eventually ByuN, with this superior bio count, is going to be able to find an opening and just absolutely breach. 95 Marines to 41 right now.
Yeah, he has to find a position where the tanks can't really quite touch him. He's going to try to siege up over here. This looks like it's kind of a bit of a mistake, to be honest. I don't think it's going to work out that nicely. I guess if he can get the SCVs that are mining, it's going to be worth it. But does the tank actually reach that far? Here comes the big drop into the main.
It might barely be in range. It is able to hit the turret, and those 4 medevacs getting ready to head into the main base. It looks like we do have Vikings patrolling here, 4 Vikings in total, so they will be able to pick off at least one of these medevacs, and also Marines waiting in the wings.
Oh, he's so ready for this.
Yeah.
That's a really good setup there by Cure.
Well done.
I had no idea that was there until we actually got a shot of it on camera, but I mean, he's just defending extremely well. And now I'm starting to wonder if Cure is just going to, over time, basically get to where he needs to be. You know, one thing about ByuN is he kind of attacks, and a lot of times, more often than not, he just wins the game from that, right? But we have a different problem right now, and that's that he's going to start to run out of map. And he's not traded cost efficiently for most of this game. I thought had he maybe pushed up there and denied the 2 of the bases in the top right quadrant, whichever 2 those would be, he would have won the game here. But now I'm starting to think that if ByuN can't win a game coming up here, or win a fight, I should say, coming up here, he's just going to lose the game.
Yeah, it's a scary position. I mean, both these players have things going for them. Cure has finally stabilized on his side of the map, especially with these sensor towers and this nice defense here in the main base. Just not even opting to go for that triangle third anymore. And his army, just, if these armies clash head to head, Cure wins all the time, but let's see if ByuN's able to make something happen. It feels like Cure is once again going to be in position to defend this as the Marines are getting dropped. But I mean, there's so many siege tanks. I feel like this position is almost unbreachable here for Cure, or for ByuN, excuse me. And now Cure just continuing to consolidate. Liberator range is almost done. +2 vehicle weapons also underway. SCVs falling on ByuN's side of the map.
Yeah, 20 actually go down. And that's a very low worker count, by the way. These guys are maxed out. They were both at about 56 workers. He just lost 20, and his supply spiked down.
Yeah, ByuN's army, once again, is almost pure Marine. He has 90 Marines in total, 4 siege tanks and 2 Vikings, whereas Cure is working with a healthier siege tank count. He has a ton of Vikings to maintain air superiority. He has Liberators already on the field. He's probably going to be mixing in more. And with Liberator range now researched, I mean, you got to think that it's going to be even more difficult for ByuN to actually set up Siege in any kind of favorable position. And look at that, 10,000 more resources lost
So
just
crazy.
in minerals there for ByuN.
Well, it just seems like the healthier army goes to Cure. He kind of, you know, ByuN kept trying to force and force and force. And I don't see a position where he can really kind of cut through this with infantry. And now we've got another base being taken here from Cure.
Now we're basically reaching a split map position now, and ByuN, he does have these resources in the bank and 125 Marines in total, but if you can never find an angle to get in with these Marines, I mean, you're not going to win any fights, right? And the siege tank spread for Cure has been so solid over the course of this game. Also with +2 vehicle weapons as well. I mean, these siege tanks just absolutely melting these Marines. And okay, ByuN says it's time to go. He's stimming forward, going to try and breach this position here outside the natural expansion. 3 siege tanks already falling.
All right, he's getting in there. How far can he go, though? That's the question. He might be able to open up the main. I don't know how many tanks are in the main. Are there? Okay, there are actually 3 tanks. 3 tanks is probably the right number to have, to be honest.
Yeah, 3 tanks and a ton of Marines means that that main base is probably not going to get breached anytime soon. ByuN, though, as a consolation prize, getting to siege down that planetary fortress there, that 5th base, being able to take down the orbital here, the natural expansion coming in, getting more siege tanks.
These are all the tanks of the game.
That's another nice trade there. The siege tank count's now mostly equalized, so ByuN with a big play, but that was also very expensive. I mean, that was a lot of Marines going down. And keep in mind, Cure, he still has the siege tank superiority. He still has air superiority. He has Liberator range. It's still difficult for ByuN to really find a window. And yes, you did kill that natural expansion. You got an engineering bay, but I mean, denying Neo Steel Plating can only do so much, and he needs more wins like this one. 3 more siege tanks going down, a couple Vikings as well. Reinforcements, though, coming in from Cure. That's a lot, Tasteless.
He might just have enough. It's not just what's happening on the ground, it's in the skies. The Vikings can continue to escort the Marines, the Liberators coming out here as well. Now, ByuN has traded out a lot and done a lot of damage to Cure, but now Cure, I think, is finally feeling comfortable enough to move out on the map.
Enough bio has been shed here for ByuN. He sacrificed so many Marines to try and find these openings against Cure. And Cure just with solid defense. There's no HP on any of these Marines. And Cure is going to be going to the finals with a reverse sweep here against ByuN.
Oh my God. The reverse sweep is real. What an insane final game. What was that, like a half hour?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
That was a fun one, man.
That was such a great series. And Cure is now our finalist here. He did it. It's kind of crazy how he got here. I mean, ByuN with the 2-0, looking to be on top of the world. Then Cure comes back in 2 more games. Suddenly we're evened out. We have an extremely back and forth game 5. ByuN pauses the game, gripping his wrist in pain. We know he's had wrist problems before. And ultimately, Cure, story of the tortoise and the hare, man. The tortoise wins the race. He just kind of played the patient game, knew what he needed to do, and where he needed to, like, keep the certain set of units alive, and here he is in the finals.
Gonna ride that victory to his 3rd GSL finals. 3rd most finals in Legacy Void. GSL is a Terran.
That's
Wow.
not funny, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't feel like you made it a lot, but yeah, that's because Maru made it 8 times. The team
Yeah.
I made it 4.
Yeah, they've definitely been the Terrans that have mostly been in our finals.
Yeah.
But this is a welcome addition here in a GSL finals. Not the player I thought was going to make it, but here we are. We're going to have a quick interview now. Let's interview Cure. You're now not the king of online, the king of offline. You showed an incredible matchup from game 3 to game 5. How do you feel?
여기서
여기서 4대0을 져가지고
After game 2,
좀
I was down 0-2.
또 했던 게
Suddenly I was thinking about my games against TY in the past, and I thought that was 0-2 as well. So I thought, just don't give up and keep focusing on my games, and here I am, I'm victorious.
솔직히 잘 안 들리는데 그냥 와줘가지고 좀 침착하게 해주는 것만으로도 고마워가지고.
Your other teammates are coming on the stage and helping you out. They were encouraging you. I honestly can't remember what anybody was saying to me in between the games. They're not even Terrans, to be honest. It wasn't actually that helpful. But anyways, that chatting I had with my teammate That allowed me to maintain my composure.
세상에서 가장 어려운 일이잖아요. 그 중간중간 힘든 순간에서 어떤 생각을 하셨습니까?
I think when the situation was 2-0, that's one of the hardest things to ever recover from, to get a reverse sweep. What was that like? In map 3, I was actually very confident overall.
가지고 갔는데 2대1로 다행히 시작해가지고
네.
마지막에 좀 뒤따라갈 수
Before coming into the studio, I thought to myself, if it's not an 0-3, I still always have a chance.
여기서 좀 느껴지는 그런 부분들이 있잖아요. 이번 결승 무대 누가 올라올 것 같다는 생각이 좀 드세요.
Semifinal number 2 is Bunny versus Maru. Who do you think wins that?
재선이도
And also, who do you want to meet?
이제 폼이 확 올라온 선수여서
I think
누가
Bunny
올라올지는 솔직히 잘 모르겠어요.
has improved the most.
그래도 연습을 좀 재선이랑 많이 해서
Obviously, Maru is always a top Terran.
알기 때문에 재선이가 오는 게
I think whoever comes up to the finals, it's not going to be easy for me. I think I'm more acquainted with Bunny's style, so that might be a little bit easier for me.
일단 역수입하게 돼서
What are your thoughts coming forward?
역수입한 만큼 결승에서도
I'm so happy to be in the finals with the reverse sweep. Since I made a reverse sweep, I'm going to show you guys an exciting matchup here in the finals. Please cheer for me. All right, guys, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back in a little bit. Don't go away. Next semifinals match coming up. You don't want to miss it.